Dave Scott, Hub Media Interviews. Today, I'm interviewing a friend, a long-lost friend. We met a few years ago when he was working on his first book, Able Hands, and then the pandemic hit. And Mark Canyon, how are you? It's been a long time, man.
I am doing well, considering. I survived the majority of the pandemic and managed to write another book, turn my first book into a trilogy. So
awesome. And let's talk a little bit. Let's go back and review the first book, Able Hands. And, I know the setting is kind of where you grew up, isn't it? In New Brunswick? Is that, I remember you telling me?
Yeah, some of the locations are places that I either visited or grew up near. It was familiar, and I guess when you're starting out writing, it's easy to write about something that's familiar and close to you. So that was a kind of a natural choice for a background. And
cool.
Yeah, I went from there to Ontario, both locations that I'm aware of. So
it's a fictional book. Can you give us a hint? We don't want to give away the whole premise of your book, but tell us a little bit about what happens in this book, will you please? Your first book, Able Hands.
Yeah, it's a supernatural thriller. It's about a man who has abilities that he's not aware of, hidden abilities, and they come into the forefront the older he gets. And
does it cause a little havoc in his life?
Well, there's good and evil in everything. This man is good. And as a result, they have a stalker that is tuned in on him, follows him, and disrupts his life everywhere he goes. That includes when he gets married. I mean, when he meets the woman he's going to marry, it's goes through all of that. And then when they finally get married, they're still getting stalked and tormented by this madman. And then it all comes to a head at the end of the book, first thing.
Ooh, but we don't want to give away. No, we don't want to give it away. Hey, do you got a copy? Can you show that to the folks?
Yeah.
So there it is, folks. Able Hands. And where can you get that? Is it? Do you have that in the ebook form?
It's
a lot of folks like to read online.
Yeah, you can get the ebook on Amazon, of course, Indigo, Barnes and Noble, Kobo.
So there's lots of venues to check it out.
The publisher's website too, wanabooks.ca. And actually, my website, you can order my books through my website, which is markjcannon.net. So.
And folks, that's the nice part nowadays is you can just get it online, an ebook, and like you said, sit there at night, enjoy Mark's book, Able Hands, his first book. So now you took it you're taking it a couple steps further, but Guardian, is that number 2, the book? And it's
Guardian
the sequel, right?
Guardian was the sequel, part 2. They turned it into a trilogy. So,
can you give us a little bit about that? I don't want to ask too many questions, but now you got me sort of intrigued.
You have to be careful, when you're trying to explain part 2, not to give away part 1. But in part 2, the family that is basically the genesis of the story, they move to British Columbia. So,
oh wow,
nice. So now the time frame has changed. It's gone from 2005 to 2017, I believe.
Oh,
so kids are growing up, life changes, but the guardian part is somebody who has abilities that are just a little bit beyond the normal, what we would expect as normal. And that's where the supernatural comes in. And
so premise is along the same lines, but it's just another step in another direction, isn't it?
Yep. Keeps the family. Yeah, keeps the family, but the family moves to a different location. And the events that are in between are exciting, dangerous, extremely dangerous, and intriguing. It's a mystery as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got all the elements.
Yeah.
Is it an ebook as well now? Is it out? Can you get the hard copy in so both the first 2 are out then?
That's right.
good to go, folks. Hear that? You can finish one, start right into the next, and like Mark said, it's available online. He's on his website or Kobo. You mentioned a different. You mentioned a few different sites that are possible. Can I let's can I turn back the page a little bit and ask a couple other questions just off? When did you become an author and why? I know your background. You're a bit of a hard ass worker all your life, and then you turn to writing. Is that something that you always wanted to do?
In a perfect world, when I was younger, it would have been lovely to become a writer, but I was a carpenter by trade, so it was just never realistic to just stop and suddenly, I'm going to try writing now because I'd still have to earn a living. So
yeah,
I had a heart attack. I was undiagnosed as diabetic for 7, 8 years. It caused the heart attack in 2012 when I was 2 days from turning 49. So that, along with a bunch of other health issues, spine, knee surgeries, it just all added up and it finished me. Physically, I was done working, and I had been writing for years, poetry and short stories and things of that nature. So when I finally had the time, one of my short stories, the idea for it just kind of got expanded. And I would say 2016 is when I started writing seriously and contacted the publisher and started moving at that point.
It must have been really rewarding too to be able to, when Able Hands came out, it must have been such a relief too, because like you said, it's a lifeline. It's been a lot of work for you, and I know how important writing is in my life. It can really help on those tough days, and it's fun to do. I enjoy it. So was it that way for you as well? Was it just a joy to be able to do this, to release all this?
Yeah, 100%. It was, and I'm still the same. I would write from the moment I wake up till the moment I go to sleep. And if I didn't have to eat and do other human activities and necessities, I would keep writing straight through it. So I don't get writer's block. I can't seem to shut it off. It just
flows.
goes. Yeah. And I do love it. And you're right about being a lifeline. It was an absolute lifeline for me because things got pretty tough for a long time.
Was it a rediscovery of who you were?
Sort of, yeah. When you're never realized exactly what you can do. And then you put your mind to this, and when it starts becoming real, it starts to change how you look at yourself. I am capable of this. It opens up your eyes. It changes things about yourself.
We always have that self-doubt, don't we, until we tackle a project that sort of reminds us that we're more than capable. That's kind of the unique thing about us humans. It works out well in the end, it seems. We always seem to find which way we're going and new paths and new careers. So I give you tons of credit. That's really cool that you did that. So is there a third book? You were saying this was a trilogy. Can you talk about, are you working on that? Is it done? What's sort of where are you on that one?
It's done.
Okay.
Finished it. I'm actually crowdfunding for the cost of publishing because I use a hybrid publisher out of Toronto. So it is called Absolution.
Absolution. And does it bring that family back together one last time?
Brings all the events to a head.
Oh.
Yeah. The good versus evil comes down to final confrontation, and then it's all of the events in their lives in between.
So it brings everything full circle again. It wraps it all up, I guess, is what we're trying to say.
And they discover another person with those same abilities when they move 3,000 miles from home, from Ontario. They move to British Columbia, and they find another person who is exactly the same. So it changes everything for them. Now they have a comrade in arms sort of thing.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting concept. Yeah. And you mentioned crowdfunding. So if people want to help, is there a place? Is there a website or what? How do you go about that?
That's GoFundMe.com.
GoFundMe.com. And is it under your name or is it?
Well, when you go to the site, you just type in Mark J. Cannon, and
Okay.
it shows it right there.
So
there's
folks,
also a link.
Okay.
I don't know what the link is off the top of my head, but
it's no problem. But like you said, if they can type in your name and then it'll go to it. But that's, you want to get the third book published, that's for sure. You got to get it out there to the public. I mean, folks are going to want to know what happens. But what a great way to do it too. It's sort of independent of all the big publishers, and you get to sort of have a little say in what's going on with this process with the GoFundMe. Mark, it's amazing the journey you've been on, like since the start of the pandemic, when we got together a couple of years ago and talked, and you finished off. I think you were working on the second book then, so it's kind of interesting that you've been able to wrap it all up. And I know there's probably other novels under the desk there that you're going to be working on down the road as well. So congratulations on all that.
Guardian came out in September, at the end of September.
Oh, okay. So that was just last year.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. The first two are out. You can find those online for sure. And Able Hands, you got the second one there as well. Can we see that?
Guardian.
The Guardian. All right, there it is, folks. The Guardian. Yes, that's not the Guardian. It's Guardian, just Guardian.
Yeah.
So type that in and yeah, on ebooks and you can find it. I know you're, like you said, you probably are busy today. You want to get back to rating and having some fun with that. So I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's been a long time. We'll have to touch base again when the third book's, when your funding's ready to roll and you want to get that out, give me a shout. But thanks for taking the time, and remind folks again, what's your website? How can they check you out?
It's markjcannon.net.
markjcannon.net. All right, folks, there it is. Hey, Mark, you have a great day. Take care, and let's talk again soon. Okay, bud?
All right. Thank you. Take care.